All right, everyone. Ready for the best of Fat Mascara? Let's hit it. I'm Jess.
Okay, welcome. You're like, get ready. Welcome, everyone. Yes, you are, Jess. I'm Jen. Hi. Welcome to Fat Mascara, special on a Monday. So this is Cindy Crawford, a legendary Fat Mascara episode and a legendary legend herself.
Legendary legend.
I know. I'm so glad we're replaying this one. I feel like this is one of Jess's best interviews. I just want to say Jess was like in her moment.
I've actually never listened to this.
Do you think she listened back after we talked to her?
Me? I've never.
No, we did. But like, do you think that she listens to herself on podcasts? Because when you start talking about the melon patch, it's iconic. It's just like, I hear in your voice all the fangirldom / like everything. I just love this interview so much because I know how much it meant to you. And obviously, clearly it's a legend in the beauty industry, but like, so glad we're replaying it.
I would rather have like a rat eat my face than listen to me talk to Cindy Crawford.
You weren't fangirling. It wasn't embarrassing. It was just like unbridled passion. Like that, you were just so excited. It made me so happy.
Well, think about like how many times, Jen, have you and I talked like without knowing that this moment of us interviewing Cindy Crawford, like before Cindy Crawford was like even in the picture, how many times have you and I referenced that melon patch moment as like the height of beauty
storytelling?
Yes, perfectly said.
Yeah,
storytelling.
You want to see how to write a story? You send Cindy to the melon patches of France, and what comes back is magic.
With the doctor, like in his coat in France, like looking like serious, like not confused or focused.
I love that.
It's so good. It's so good.
Don't worry. The interview is not all about the melon patch. Obviously, it's about meaningful beauty because I think we actually did this interview on the occasion of she launched a hairline under her meaningful beauty umbrella. Yeah. But you know what? This was one of a little subgenre of Fat Mascaras that have gone on to become some of our best episodes. I don't know what to call them, but they're where women really get honest about aging and your appearance as you age. And she was one of the first guests I think we had that really like.
Would she say that?
I don't know chronologically, but.
I blacked out during the whole interview. She said.
I know, but I do remember. So she was 55 when he interviewed her. Today she's 57. And, you know, she was really candid that like she doesn't like to look at her face on the big monitors now that she's this age and modeling. And I think it takes a lot of courage to admit that you don't, because everybody's today is just like, I love aging. You know, you're supposed to embrace it. You're supposed to feel great about the way you look. But the way you look changes. And she came at it with such a realistic, like, yes, I'm aging, it's fine. I'm not trying to like fight everything. But she also talked about like, yeah, that can be hard, especially when you look like her. Right?
Yeah.
I don't know. I just really like when women are really just honest with us about that type of thing. Because I think it's something everybody thinks about. Like, what does appearance mean as you get older? Because aging is a privilege.
It is a privilege. It is a privilege.
As is this interview. Oh, I'm so ready for it. You ready to get into it?
It was a privilege. Yeah, it was a privilege to speak to Cindy, and I definitely had a fabulous time talking to her. Thank God somebody gave me a time limit, had to cut me off.
Speaking of, here is Cindy Crawford.
Okay, so Cindy, we're interviewing you now, but I have to say you were the host of one of my favorite shows growing up. Longtime listeners of Fat Mascara know that like I occasionally reference House of Style, MTV's House of Style. There's so many memorable segments, a couple of amazing beauty moments. It was truly iconic. If you can YouTube, listeners, if you can YouTube or find, and I don't know where, please MTV put out the full length episodes, but you have interviewed so many great people. I'm a little intimidated interviewing you. What are some of your favorite memories of doing that show?
I mean, the thing that was so great about doing House of Style is that it's not that it wasn't serious, but we had fun with it. It was, it was a way to show fashion, the fun part of fashion, like why we all got into fashion originally is because it was fun to dress up when you were a little girl. Like it wasn't pressure, it was fun. And understanding, like the producer of House of Style was really good at understanding how culture and streetwear and high fashion and music, how all those worlds merged. And that's really what House of Style was about. So I got to interview everybody at the time. And what's really funny about House of Style is I'm not the most musically educated person. I kind of grew up high school, early 80s in Chicago. Like we didn't even listen to Springsteen. My husband's like, you're the same age as me. How can you not know Springsteen? But in the Midwest, it was more like the Chicago bands, or in college, it was Madonna and Prince. So I kind of came with this very naive attitude and just wanting to have fun, but also, feeling somewhat at home in the world of fashion. So interviewing Jean-Paul Gaultier and Naomi Campbell and Duran Duran, like going to Sears with Duran Duran and watching them try on ladies' dresses was funny. Going to the set of The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air with Will Smith, who knew how huge he was going to be? Sheryl Crow, just because she's like a super cool woman and, had just done that first album. So many people. Naomi Campbell, I think like one of my favorite shows that we did was, showing Naomi Campbell what it's like a week or a day in the life of Naomi. But at the end of the day, she put on pimple cream.
Yes, I was going to say the pimple cream episode.
Yeah, and that just humanized her for so many people. So we love that idea of, even having Todd Oldham on as one of the contributing editors and him like cutting up a pair of tires to make sandals or, what to do with a glue gun. I just love that mix of kind of do it yourself. Before that was a thing really. And then also super couture, high fashion, but mixed with, the guys from Onyx and we went health food shopping. That was actually a really fun one. They actually nicknamed me. They gave me my rap name, which is Slim Goody.
Slim Goody. That's amazing.
Yes. That was my email for a long time. And then finally at one point I was like, okay, sorry guys, I have to lose the Slim Goody.
That's hilarious. That is like, I feel like that was such a moment in time in fashion that will like never be recaptured. They tried to duplicate it, but it was never quite the same. Never quite the same.
Yeah. I think that, if you think about it, before House of Style, and that was really, House of Style came about because cable television came about, right? Like MTV was at the forefront of cable television for all of us. I mean, before that, it was CNN, Elsa Clench, House of Style, which was amazing, but it was a very serious way to cover fashion. And then there was cable and there was an opportunity for different voices, but it was new and it was exciting. And then I think that, the more exposure it got, in a weird way, it became less exciting because everyone was trying to do it,
Yeah, no, it was really, I think, a moment in time that, I don't know if it could be replicated. So I was watching it in the same time period, really. I was watching an interview with you from 1993, and you said something that I thought was really interesting, and I thought it was like really... it made me laugh. You said, I see myself being in front of the camera for the next 10 years. So that would put us at 2003. You've overshot that for about 20 years. Now, you model on occasion, right? I realize your life is, you're much more than a model, but you're very much still in the spotlight. Why did you say that back then? And why do you think you're still really very much in the mix now?
Honestly, I think I was probably even pushing it at 10 years back then. I mean, people just didn't have the kind of careers that I've been able to have. I think that the industry's changed. I think that, even when I started modeling, and I remember I dropped out of college to become a model, and I thought, okay, maybe this will get me till I'm 25. And then what? Will I be able to go back to school? Like, how can I pick up where I left off? And I kind of I remember at 25 thinking, okay, maybe I have 5 more years. And then at 30 thinking, oh, maybe 5 more years, and here I am 55. And I just did like a shoot with Luigi Aniango last week for Brazilian Vogue, so it's like crazy to me that I'm still doing it. I think part of the reason is, I think it's twofold. I think one is that I've tried to be true to who I am. So I'm not a 55-year-old woman trying to be a 20-year-old. Or, when I was pregnant, I did and became a mother. I aligned myself with brands that were more on brand with that. When I started my skincare line and later my furniture line, those things were all natural evolutions of me. Yes, I was a model. And yes, I came from this world of fashion. And where am I going now? Like, not trying to freeze the past.
Right. You weren't trying to do super, like, you weren't trying to do like the Versace runway when you were, 8 months pregnant.
No, although I did do it a few years ago, but remember that was like, that was a moment.
But
too,
that was a different, but it was a different, you weren't trying to like fit that mold when it was not like the right time. It was strategic.
And believe me, because it was funny, that was probably, the only opportunity Kaya and I will ever have to be in the same show. But there's no way I would walk out with her. Like, you go first and I'm going to walk out with the other ladies that are my age.
Right. With the ladies. I love it. The ladies. When you were thinking, like you said, I might have 5 more years, I might have 10 more years. Was there ever like an outside of fashion plan? Like I don't know. Was fashion always like, did you feel comfortable in the fashion world, or was it always like, let me just finish it and I'm going to do real estate?
Well, I mean, that's it. I never ever even imagined. I mean, I grew up in DeKalb, Illinois. I never even knew that modeling was a real job. And even if I did, I wouldn't have known how to get from DeKalb to New York City or Paris or Milan or whatever. But once I got on that and established, it's not that I think I did feel comfortable. The thing that I discovered about modeling, like, I remember a few years ago, I was doing this yoga retreat with about 10 other people. And we posed this question before we did a 4-hour silent hike, which was, have you found your passion in life? And if so, what is it? And I found it interesting because all the men immediately said yes, and they knew what it was, and it was very easy for them to kind of own that. And the women, we were all like, well, and we said, you can't say it's being a mother. Like, that was off the table because every mother, of course, would say that. Mm-hmm. And then I thought, wow, have I? Because I love my job. And am I really so shallow that I just love putting on pretty clothes and hair and makeup? Like, it has to be more. But what I realized that I love about modeling is it's storytelling. It's a communication. And so really what I love is communicating, and modeling is one way that I get to do that. And also, I think that people don't realize that modeling, yes, you have to look a certain way, and it helps if you're tall and you have long legs and all of those things, but it's a skill. Like, you can get better at modeling. The more, it's like anything. It's like the 10,000 hours, Malcolm Gladwell thing. The more you do it, the better you get at it. And it's probably like an athlete who is getting toward the end of their career. Like, they know more about the game. They're a better player in their here. But, your physical strength or speed isn't the same. It's the same for modeling. Like, I'm a much better model now than I was when I was 20. I know what works. I know how to move in front of the camera. I know how to communicate with the photographer, but they might need to help me out with a little extra lighting these days or whatever,
And when you were learning all these things, was there like a crew you surrounded yourself with? Like, we saw when you were a full-time model and like always in pop culture, and we saw you with the same couple people again and again. And I've always wondered, is that just like branding for Cindy Crawford, the model, with your modeling agencies, and those people weren't your close friends? But like, what designers and models and makeup artists did you surround yourself with?
Yeah, that wasn't a thing back then, like those branding pictures. We didn't talk about that. We didn't know that. So I think, there's the group of women that you're used to seeing me with, like Christy and Linda and Naomi. And I mean, we were all friends and friendly, but at the same time, we were all super busy. Like, I mean, we would be together for show season, and then everyone would go off and do
I mean, we didn't have Instagram, so we didn't know what Cindy was doing when she wasn't like in a picture for us,
right. I think primarily the people that were my crew were more the hair and makeup people, because those are the people that you spent more time with. And I always say, like, they're the people that if you came in and you hadn't slept the night before or had a fight with your boyfriend or had a pimple, like, they were the ones that helped build you up. They helped with that transformation from like this girl, Cindy from DeKalb. They helped turn her into Cindy Crawford. So that by the time I got in front of the camera, I felt that I could embody all of that.
There are people too. So we get it.
Yeah, exactly.
That makes sense. That's really cool. Are you still in touch with a lot of those people from your early modeling days?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, unfortunately, so many of the people I worked with, other than photographers, strangely, we've lost a lot of the photographers. Like my main mentor photographers, like a Helmut Newton or Herb Ritz, Peter Lindbergh. We've lost so many of those photographers. But like one of my best girlfriends is Sonia Kashik. She's a makeup artist. She had a makeup line. I mean, I was just at her house in Florida in February. So many of the hair people I still work with. Yeah. So yeah. And they are, I mean, there's nothing better, as I'm sure you guys know, than working with friends.
Yeah. Definitely.
Especially when you're traveling. Like whenever I had a trip to do, I was like, who's going to be fun to travel with? Because I definitely, especially after probably I turned 30 and I realized like, wait, when am I going to be in St. Petersburg again? I should stay an extra day and go to museums and, sightsee. And so who do I want to do that with?
Totally. Oh, that's amazing. It sounds like such a charmed period.
I can't really remember it because it's been about a year or so since we've done anything like that. But yes.
So let's talk about meaningful beauty. You're really smart to start something of your own. But I'm curious what that moment was where you're like, okay, I can continue being the face of all of these, different brands. A lot of your peers have done that and it's worked out really well for them. But you decided to start your own brand. What was that? Like, what was the impetus for that?
It was twofold. One is I had been with Revlon for 17 years and my contract was getting ready to be renewed. And I did have that moment of like, okay, like I kind of think it's time for me to do my own thing. And I think having had the success of like my exercise video gave me the confidence to feel like I can do my own thing. And then really it was that I had this relationship with Dr. Sabah that another makeup artist friend of mine, Fran Cooper, sent me to Dr. Sabah when I was 28, when I was in Paris. She's like, oh, you got to see this guy. He does this like mesotherapy, like the vitamin cocktail, he called it. And I just developed this relationship with him. And he was like my skin guy, my skin guru. And I would tease him, like, can't you just bottle this stuff?
Just to pause, if like mesotherapy, just for our listeners, can you just put it like in, like spell it in crayon for everyone?
Okay, so he's the only person who's ever done it to me, and I had never had it before. But it looks like a squirt gun, but it actually has like a little needle in it. And so he like makes these like tiny, almost like aerating your skin.
Okay.
And then his vitamin cocktail, which included this special SOD, which is from a melon, a special melon in the south of France, was in that. And it's funny because the first time he did it to me, I actually was getting married like 5 days later randomly. And my skin, I was like, my skin came alive. Like I didn't even know that it looked tired until he got done. And then I was like, wow, it's so like glowy and bouncy and all those things. I mean, I was 28. So, even a bad skin day at 28 is a good skin day.
Yeah.
But the thing that I really loved about Dr. Sabah is he loves women. He doesn't want women to have to hide behind makeup. He wants you to feel comfortable in your skin. So he's all about like, how do we take care of your skin? And so he's like, the first thing he does, like the first thing he would do is like, he touches it, he pinches it, he pulls on it, and he wants you to feel, good in your skin.
Hey everyone, this podcast is brought to you by Cash App. With tools for saving, sending, and spending, it's the all-in-one place for you to glow up your money and glow up your life.
I glow up my money with Cash App, but I also had a personal glow up. I don't know if you remember this. It was about, I would say 10 years ago now. I was just another brunette in New York doing my thing. And I said, it's time to let my white hair streak grow in. I thought it would give me a little differentiation, make me stand out from the crowd. So I grew in my white hair and it was as glowy, right? Like, come on, you thought it was a glow up for me, right?
Yeah, I mean, you went from like being like just another brunette on the street, nameless and faceless,
to like a superhero.
Jen.
No,
Jen,
I'm telling you, I walk down the street now, all the time people yell to me like, what's up, Rogue? Like from the, X-Men, What's up, Storm? I feel like much more myself. I feel like I have a little bit of a superhero power.
Yeah.
And that is like kind of what Cash App does for your money.
So if you want to glow up your life, you got to glow up your money. Download Cash App in the App Store or Google Play. There's no hidden fees and a free-to-order debit card. It feels like a makeover for your finances. When you're getting married and planning a wedding, there's so many things to keep track of. It's a lot of fun, but it's also really overwhelming. But you know what can help with that? Our sponsor, Zola.
That's right. When you're getting married, it's not just about the big day. It's about all the days along the way. And Zola's here for all of them. I actually used Zola to help plan my wedding. And I remember the day Eric and I set up the website with all the little details to share with the guests and clicked publish. It was such a fun day. And then I used Zola and they had this great part of their website building tool where you could give, I'll just call them gentle gift suggestions for your guests.
Very just gentle, tasteful suggestions.
You can do a registry, of course, but we created one of those cash funds for our honeymoon with pictures of where we wanted to go. Plus, Zola's also there on the days when you feel like, forget it, I don't even want to have a wedding. I remember I had that moment. There was like this huge family debate about the seating options at the wedding and whether they had backs or not. I kid you not, benches versus chairs, like almost derailed the whole wedding.
What did you eventually choose?
It's complicated. Let's talk about Zola, which is much easier because even on those days when things were, complicated, there's the Zola community. It's a free and judgment-free community of other engaged couples who know exactly what you're going through.
If you're getting married or planning to get married, or you're already married and you're just finally getting around to planning a celebration, start planning at Zola.com. That's Zola.com. Okay, everyone, let's talk hair. When it comes to, using products that are really good for me, with hair, sometimes I feel like there's a little bit of a sacrifice when you use products made with healthy ingredients. I always feel like there's something that I'm compromising when it comes to making my hair actually look really good. Not with Vegamore. They use really healthy ingredients and the results are always amazing. Their products are 100% cruelty-free and they're never formulated with potentially harmful chemicals like parabens or hormones.
That's right. I've been using the Vegamore Grow Revitalizing Shampoo and Conditioner. Ooh, is this stuff good? Lots of healthy oils in there. My hair feels really thick, but not weighed down. So I'm getting the moisture. It's thicker, healthier, shinier, which summertime, like who doesn't want that? It's a really great product. And if you get it in their special Vegamore Grow Essentials Kit, you get more value for your money. You get the shampoo, conditioner, and the revitalizing serum as well.
And fun fact, Vegamore sells one bottle of Grow Serum every 15 seconds on their website. That's how good this stuff is. Give yourself the hair you never thought you could have with Vegamore. For a limited time, Fat Mascara listeners get 20% off their first order by going to vegamore.com/fatmascara and use the code FATMASCARA at the checkout. That's vegamor.com/fatmascara, code FATMASCARA to save 20% on your first order. That's vegamor.com/fatmascara, code FATMASCARA.
So why did you go with, first of all, I want to get back to the melons because I am I got to tell you.
We talk about the melons all
probably
the time.
Once a month.
It's come up multiple times on the show.
Yeah, it comes up a lot on the show. I'll bring it up just in private conversation to Jen just about the melons. I just think it is the most romantic, beauty, ingredient origin story. I love it. I am curious about the melons. I have dreams about Fat Mascara becoming a television, adventure. Kind of almost like the House of Style, but for beauty. I really do, Cindy. We can talk offline about this if you're interested. But my first stop is going to France to be in the fields with the melons.
The melon patch.
I'm dying.
What's funny is, first of all, the melon, yes, it's a romantic, beautiful story. There's these special melons only grown in the south of France. But that's all nice. But I mean, I think you guys know, just natural does not always mean better. What's great about the melons is that they're SOD, it's a superoxide dismutase, and that's a super antioxidant. And that's what's special about the melons. And apparently, it's, hard to extract in a concentrated way from the melons. And so Meaningful Beauty, I mean, I've seen SOD, people can take SOD orally, as an antioxidant that you ingest. But Meaningful Beauty, I believe, was the first skincare line to use, the melon complex in a skincare product.
In a topical thing?
Yes. So that was our story, and then of course, all the other things that we know has to go into great skincare as well. But it gave us a point of difference, and it made sense because Dr. Sabat is French. And I think the other thing, especially at the time, was, French formulations have a luxuriousness to them. They're rich without being heavy.
Yeah.
Because, I think a lot of people think something that's going to give them enough hydration and moisturization has to feel heavy. But, I need something that's going to work under makeup. I need something that I can layer. If I'm going to use a serum, I have to know that it's going to work with my, my day cream with my SPF. On top of that, I hate when products pill or, sometimes you feel like you're overlapping or you're not getting enough of one thing, or you're getting too much of one thing. And honestly, I love the idea of a system. And, when Dr. Sabat, and it was really a joke. I was like, can't we just bottle this stuff? It was for me personally. I was like, just for me, like, just send me bottles of this stuff. Cause I was living in LA at the time and I had 2 young kids and I wasn't going to Paris like I used to. But then it was like, wait, yeah, why don't we bottle this stuff? And that was the beginning of Meaningful Beauty.
So you have a real, interest. I understand that you're not like in the lab yourself, but I think what's different about you is, you were going to school, if I understand, for like chemical engineering. Like you're kind of science buff, right?
It's been a minute.
It's been a minute, but this isn't like you're not someone who's like, oh, this is a completely like, yeah, like just slap my name on it. Like you're like interested in the actual mechanics of how products work.
Well, definitely. I mean, for 100%, I was never interested in slap my name on it. Because as a model, like if it's hard to even model a dress that you think is ugly. It actually is. Like I remember one time in a fashion show, and I won't say which designer, and I had to wear this hideous dress and walking out on the runway. And I think I swear I heard someone laugh, and I just was mortified. I was like, how am I going to get to the end of the runway? But it was laughable. It was hideous. So in terms of like doing a line with my name on it, of course, I wanted it to be something I was proud of and something that I really use, and then I'm excited to use, and then I'm excited to share with my mom and my sisters and my girlfriends. But the way Jean-Louis and I work together, I mean, he has an amazing chemist. We come up with, basically I'm like, okay, dude, like under my eyes are a little dark. What are we going to do about that? And then he comes back with formulations. Obviously, he knows about the efficacy and the, ingredient, which plays nicely with what and how to make it work. But I'm our guinea pig in terms of, because I'm a woman, I'm the user, I wear makeup over it. I'm, the smell, the feel, all of that is very much where I feel like I'm the main voice.
Yeah.
And back to the name, like Meaningful Beauty, like that was my main thing. And Dr. Sabat as well, that each and every product had to be meaningful. I already think women are confused enough. We all have like a drawer full of products that promised something and we use like twice and they just sit there. And every month you're like, oh, should I buy this? Should I buy that? Should I try this? And I wanted to offer like, I think of my sisters. They're both teachers actually. And it's like, okay, here guys, this is what I use. You're protecting your skin during the day. You're restoring it at night. You're getting the antioxidants, the peptides, all these things, and then go out and enjoy your day. Like, I don't think skincare should be a full-time job. I mean, if it's not your full-time job.
I was just like, oops, talking to the wrong people. It's kind of our full-time job.
No, if it's not your full-time, I mean, it is your full-time, but I mean, most women, like, they don't want to feel.
No, they ask for recommendations. I'm like, how much time do you have? Like, I have a whole 200 episode podcast about this.
Completely.
Like, being able to recommend something simply, sure.
Yeah, and it depends on what you do.
I know you're moving into hair, and now I'm curious, was there a personal reason behind that? Or did you just think it was time?
No, hair definitely was the impetus for that, because I think, look, we all know as we age, even though we think it's never going to happen to us, like, I think every woman's like, okay, expects a few crow's feet. Mm-hmm. Okay, my hair's going to turn gray, but I can color that. And then other stuff starts happening, right? And you're like, whoa. And with hair, no one ever talked to me about that your hair actually ages and changes. It's like, and also even, I mean, my hair is colored. I have a feeling there's some grays underneath the color, and that the texture changes, but also the manageability, the shine, the bounce, all of those things. And after I had my kids, I actually lost hair. And my friend who's a hairdresser called it the parking lots, but like where guys, up in here, I lost hair, and I was not expecting that. And I guess
when you
that's
say the parking lots,
thing.
just because it's like audio,
it's like where guys get bald.
Yeah,
it's on the sides, like above your eyebrows, right?
Above your
Yes.
No, I'm experiencing the same thing. Yeah, I get it.
So I just was not prepared for that. And even like my friends, I remember, colored hair looks different in the sun. I don't know if you've noticed that. And like all of a sudden I would be looking at my friend whose hair looked great, but then in the sun, it was like, it's more transparent. Mm-hmm. Like it's just not good hair. Like when I look at my 16-year-old or now 19-year-old daughter, she doesn't even have to blow dry her hair, and it's shiny and smooth and bouncy, and it behaves well. And, I always tease her. I'm like, you have my old legs, give them back. You have my old hair, give it back.
So there was a personal reason to get into the hair.
Definitely. And so the idea was, and this is what I went to Dr. Sabah with, is the melon, is that, SOD and our plant leaf stem cell, is that something that could be applied to hair? And because again, I didn't want to just do another like, okay, here's a shampoo and conditioner that says Meaningful Beauty on it. And we really address the signs of aging, which are strength and shine and breakage. And the key, or kind of like the hero product of our hair, age-proof hairline, is the scalp spray. And, really understanding that good hair starts with creating the right environment for good hair. And that starts at the scalp.
Got it. Well, I think that you starting this conversation with people who may be like, yeah, it's like, oh, they just kind of think like, oh yeah, I don't know why my hair changed. Or yeah, I used to have good hair and not really understand why, or even just the taboo of talking about it. I mean, honestly, to hear you talk about the parking lots gives me a little bit of, I'm sorry that you've experienced it, but I actually feel a little bit more comfortable now talking about mine.
They're just like us.
Yeah.
But it's true. Like, even the, one of the hairdressers that I work with a lot is named Richard Marin. And after I had kids, like all of a sudden he started putting in, I just noticed like even without him asking, he started putting in like sometimes for shoots, like the little hair clips of like fake hair, and I never had that before. I never needed it. And I just noticed in order for him to get like that luscious fullness, he needed to add hair. And after using, because we've been working on this for almost a year and a half now, or maybe close to 2 years, I worked with him a couple of weeks ago, and he was like, Cindy, seriously, your hair is like your old hair. Like I can feel like my ponytail, like my ponytail feels thicker. It feels stronger. It doesn't feel like as much breakage.
I'm glad you talked about that, because I think that's going to make a lot of people feel like less kind of like, like what's wrong with me, and women don't really talk about it.
No, and it's like can be your thyroid. It's so many things, and I do think it really catches a lot of women off guard. It did me.
Yeah, it definitely for me for sure. So I want to talk about this idea about talking about aging. there's a conversation that, we get into a lot in the industry about the term anti-aging. Some people find that it's not modern, that by saying anti-aging, we're inferring that there's something inherently wrong with growing older. And then there's a lot of people who think there's nothing wrong with it. And some women want to look younger, and that, it's about just feeling vital. So I'm curious where you personally, fall. And I'm not trying to like get you like there's a wrong answer, right answer. I just want to know.
Yeah. I think, how do I feel? I feel like, first of all, it's impossible. Anti-aging is impossible, right? Like we're all aging all the time.
Yes.
I wish we were, but it's, that you're not going to win that battle.
Yeah.
As terms, I think it's funny when Dr. Saban and I started Meaningful Beauty, he had this whole idea of age maintenance, right? And I love age maintenance because I think age maintenance is much more achievable, right? It's because I don't want it.
But I want to maintain 28.
Yeah, I'm like, how do we do that? I don't know if that's possible either.
It's more possible than anti-aging.
Yeah.
But that was the idea, is just to, not to change a woman, or again, not to feel pressured to look. I mean, I don't want to look, well, maybe I do want to look 28, but it would be weird, if I look the same age as my daughter or whatever. It'd be like that one movie where everyone's 25. Remember with Justin Timberlake? What was that movie? It was about time. And people only aged till they were 25. So
I know what you're talking about. It was a while ago. But yeah, I know.
Age,
yeah.
So I think, that's why, like with the hair care line, we called it Age Proof Your Hair, because it wasn't like anti-aging. It does seem a bit not woke, shall we say, anti-aging. Because, and look, I mean, I do talk, there is something as just pure physical beauty, right? I mean, you see a flower and it's just gorgeous and no one judges it. And by the way, it can be beautiful as it's aging too, but when it's in its full bloom, like that's like the photographable moment.
Yeah.
I think for women as we age, like when I look at my friends, I see beauty in them, right? I see their smile, I see their eyes, they feel comfortable in their own skin, they know their style, they are funny and they don't take themselves too seriously, and they've been through shit with kids and husbands and life. And I feel like if we as women could just look at ourselves through the same lens that we look at our girlfriends through, we would not be worried about anti-aging.
Oh my God, you're going to make me cry. Oh. Yeah, no, you're right. Yeah.
And I think, so to me, the words, I mean, yes, have we found the perfect word? Because really what we just want to do is we want to feel confident. That's why it all matters. That's why talking about beauty all day long does matter, because it's about giving women confidence to do the rest of their life with grace.
That's a really good answer. Yeah. So on that note, like as you've grown older and gone through your life and your career and everything, is there anything that like you've eased up on, as Cindy Crawford, that, anything you've like learned to accept about yourself or gotten easier on yourself that you're willing to share with us?
It's hard because it's interesting for me, because in some ways, I think in real life, I have an ease because I do know myself. I know my flaws. I know I'm impatient. I know that I like things a certain way or whatever. I know I'm a good friend. I know I take care, so I think it's harder for me to do photo shoots now, to be honest with you, because I know what I used to look like. And then, they have the jumbo monitors there and they're showing every frame, and some of them aren't. And you're like, oh God, no, I need light here, or, wait, I need to suck up there or whatever. I kind of joke that like I need Viagra sometimes to model now because it's harder to get it up, like for those modeling jobs. But I still like it. And I also feel I have this inner dialogue with myself, because part of me, I could totally pull was it Garbo or Bardot who just like disappeared?
Garbo.
Okay.
Like I could to be alone.
Yeah, I could totally see pulling that. But I also think it's really important for women who have grown with me. Like, why should we feel like we need to disappear at this age? Like, I do feel some responsibility to say, no, you guys, we still, like, we're not that, but we're this thing, whatever we are. And let's be proud of that and let's show that. So, but I mean, look, I would be not honest if I said like aging doesn't have its challenges, but then I always say it's better than the alternative. So, and totally. Really realize like that every day in life is a blessing. So what am I going to worry about that my knees don't look the way they used to, or, your neck, whatever. We all pick ourselves apart. And again, I think we're the only ones that does that to ourselves. We don't.
Like you said about your friends. Yeah. You're like, I look at my friends, I don't see the flaws they see.
Right. I'm not like, whoa, your neck looks a little, different or whatever, Yeah.
So, I mean, to that end, if you've eased up and you're more comfortable with yourself, as you were talking about, there's still got to be like, you need some product, Cindy. Like you've learned a lot in your career. Oh. What do you rely on besides Jean-Louis and the Melon Patch?
Oh, well, I definitely...
We're on first name basis now, by the way.
Exactly. Yeah. I think, look, all of that stuff to take care of yourself does make a difference and is cumulative. And it starts with, all the things that we all know, like I don't smoke. I try to get enough sleep. I drink a lot of water. I do drink alcohol because my husband has a tequila club.
What's your drink of choice?
I definitely drink Casamigos on the rocks. Yeah. But again, I don't drink it with sugar now. Like I used to love a margarita or something. I can't handle that now. I don't really I gave up soy sauce because I noticed I see it on my face in the next morning, but actually sushi with lemon is delicious. So,
you can try that.
I love dry brushing my body. I love, definitely exercise. I like infrared sauna, although now a dermatologist told me that maybe that like I love the way I feel when I do it, but then they said like that it's thermal damage. So I have been going to a facialist for the last 20 years, except for not really so much during COVID. And she does the microdermabrasion.
Can we ask who your facialist is?
Yeah, her name's Christina Radu, and she's in LA.
What about fragrance? I know that's not an aging or maintenance thing, but I'm just curious. You have those orchids behind you. What's your scent?
It's for my 50th birthday, my husband got me a bespoke fragrance from this perfumer in London. Her name's Ozzy Glosser. And it's really cool. Like she interviewed my husband and then she talked to me. And then she makes you your own fragrance. And the cool thing is I think she does a lot of work with Tim Burton for his movies. So like the characters have a fragrance. So it helps them get into character. And I visited her atelier in London and it's really cool. So I wear my own Cindy, like this fragrance that she made just for me. But I also I think it's called Carnal Flower. I think it's by Dominique.
By Moss?
Yes. And that was the fragrance I was wearing prior to my husband's gift to me. Yes.
Or Dominique Ropion.
Yeah. It's got two names and that's why it's confusing. But
that's
I remember
so
it's
cool.
I will say that fragrance is when I was wearing that one, I got the most compliments on and it's not overwhelming, but it's a people pleaser, men and women. Yeah.
And what about just makeup products? I feel like you always have a really pretty natural look.
It's been so hard during COVID because, look, it's like putting makeup on at home just feels like I've really gotten even less. I liked, and I do like when Bobbi Brown launched Jones Road, her new, she has this Miracle Balm, which I like because you kind of feel like you're putting on makeup, but it's not. It's just like a dewy with a little tint. So up, for the cheek and you can put it on the lid and the lip. I'm like, my makeup is always super basic. I do a foundation, I guess, or tinted moisturizer or whatever. And I mix that up. I don't know. I'm not really attached to one. Then I will do a little cheek. And I also I think it's Josie Moran?
Josie Moran.
She has a stick blush that's a cream. I like it. I think I like adding, keeping things looking dewy and hydrated as I get older. Like I don't want drying stuff because the drier it is, it kind of shows everything. And then I like Charlotte Tilbury. I'm always obsessed with her. She does great eyeshadows that are just like the perfect brown that like you can't mess up. Still on the search for the perfect mascara, honestly, because like I want to find the right
That's
brush.
why we started this podcast.
Yeah, okay. So what do you guys think is the perfect mascara?
We're looking. We're still looking.
Will you send it to me when you find it?
Dr. Sabagan on that, like grow your hair, doesn't smudge.
Like, we haven't really gotten into cosmetics because I feel like as a model, my main thing was taking care. I kind of felt like my job was taking care of the raw materials. And then I would show up and the makeup artist or the hairdresser, then they do the rest.
That's
so
hilarious. The raw materials. And then like someone would paint it up and do it up.
Yeah,
That's
like
great.
Makeup was never my passion. Whereas there are some models like Linda Evangelista and Naomi, they can paint a face. They can paint their own face. They can paint yours. I can get myself together if I have to, but forget, like I would never try liquid eyeliner or I could never put a false eyelash on myself. No.
I love that. Yeah. I love that you can't do it. See that like all these like Cindy Crawford, she's just like us. I love it. She can't.
And I also, what's amazing though, what I did notice, and I think I'm kind of envious of, like if my daughter wanted to learn that, she would just go on YouTube. Right. And she figured it out. But we didn't have access to that. Like my mom never wore makeup because my dad hated makeup. So she never wore makeup ever. So I didn't even wear makeup to my first modeling job.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny.
Yeah.
So we have one last question before our fun lightning round. I wanted to know if you could be Cindy Crawford all over again, which actually sounds like a lot of fun. What would you do differently?
I probably would have had more. I would definitely have more fun the second time around. Because,
really?
Well, I don't know if I could
party in St. Petersburg.
Yeah, like would you go out more? No,
but only if I would know what I knew now. Like I think then, like I thought it was ending in 5 years, right? I had to. I think I wouldn't. Oh gosh, there were times where I said no to things because there's a little bit like, ooh, am I going to be comfortable going on that person's yacht? I don't belong. I don't know what to wear on a yacht. I don't know what fork to use or what, So there were times where I maybe didn't do things because I was afraid that I would feel uncomfortable. And what I've learned since then is A, no one really cares. And B, in a weird way, everyone feels that way. And, like, the person sitting next to you could also feel like, what am I doing here sitting next to Cindy Crawford, where I might be sitting, what am I doing here sitting next to this person? Like we all came from usually most people came from a more humble beginning. So I think I probably would have said yes more to that kind of stuff.
So even when you were a young like model, you felt like, I'm going to pass on that. Like I'm too shy or like.
Yeah, and it probably kept me out of a lot of trouble too, by the way. So that's why I don't know. Like,
yeah.
I don't want my daughter to hear this.
And we started out talking about your longevity. I think some wise decisions along the way probably helped.
Exactly.
She might not feel that way though, because you had a different, experience growing up.
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah. I mean, she's already she was already raised in a much different, more sophisticated world than I was.
Yeah.
I had never been out of the country or anything like that. She's traveled and, so certain things were just much easier for her to transition into.
Yeah. That's really interesting. Thank you. This was such a great conversation. Jen's going to wrap it up with a very fun.
Oh yeah, you're not off the hook.
Speed round.
This is the easy part, though.
It's light and silly.
Okay.
Yeah, we ask all our guests the same question. So the first is, what is the first beauty product you remember falling in love with? And I know you didn't use makeup till you became a model, so it could be anything.
I feel like, was Baby Bell like a lip gloss, or like there was like
Bonnie Bell,
like and it was like bubblegum flavored lip gloss. Yes.
What quality do you admire most in other people?
I was going to say punctuality, but that's no. I do admire that. Listening, good listening.
If there was one rule you wish everybody would follow, what's that rule?
Punctuality. How's that?
Be on time. Okay, what is the most played song on your playlist right now?
Oh, gosh. I honestly don't get to pick music at my house. I'm like the fourth person in charge of the controls. My husband's first, then one of my kids. So I've been listening to, because I really got into meditating I finally had time to really develop a meditation practice over the last year. So the most played thing is like my Spotify meditation list that I curated myself.
That sounds lovely.
Yeah.
Okay, last question. If there were a movie made of your life, who would narrate it?
Oh, a movie made of my life. Maybe Kaya. I think Kaya, because she would, she would know me, but she also knows me not as me. Do you know what I mean? She knows me as a mom and a real person, and I think she'd be able to blend that.
That's cool.
I would watch that movie. That would be fun.
Yeah.
This was great.
Thank
I'm
you.
going to be easier on myself. I took away some really good.
No,
yeah.
I don't know if our
honestly.
listeners did too, but I'm just like, yeah, I got to just treat myself like I treat my friends.
No, because even like, and it's funny, this just happened with a group of my friends. 5 years ago, we took like a group picture on a girls' trip. And already then we were like, oh, we're 50, we're old, whatever. And now one of them brought that picture up and we're like, we looked so good back then. Do you know what I mean? And I think I love that. I think Nora Ephron's book, I Feel Bad About My Neck. And I loved where she was like, if you're under the age of 35, just put on a swimming suit and don't take it off. And, just walk around in it all the time, because you're never going to look better. You're younger, or you might look better in a weird way, depending. But I mean, there's just, we are so hard on ourselves in the moment. And then you look back at a picture that you hated of yourself, and you look back at it 5 years later and you're like, I looked pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Well, thank you so
This
much
is
for coming on the
awesome.
show. This was really
Thank
great.
you.
Good. Thanks, ladies. I'm glad it worked out. Thank you so much.
We hope you enjoyed the show. It's your reviews and feedback that help us make the podcast even better. Head over to iTunes to rate and review us, or email your thoughts to info@fatmascara.com.
We also want to answer your beauty questions and hear what products you love. To share a Raise the One product review or to ask a beauty question, email us at info@fatmascara.
If you send it as a voice memo file, we can even share your voice on the podcast. You can also do that by leaving us a voice message. Our phone number in the United States is 646-481-8182.
Thanks so much for listening.